is a storm on the horizon, a time of hardship and pain. This battle has been won, but the war against the machines rages on. Skynet's global network remains strong, but we will not quit until all of it is destroyed. This is John Connor. There is no fate but what we make.
All right, guys, we're back with the Terminator franchise here on Citizen Frame. That's all I've got. All right.
Salvation, Terminator Salvation.
That's right. Terminator Salvation. I saw this at the theater. I remember really enjoying it. It does help seeing this kind of movie in the theater because theaters are so loud, you know, and the big screen.
Well.
So, yeah, the sound was something that really made this film, I think, a lot better than when I first saw it. Seeing it again, still much better effort than when we just got recently, that piece of shit, which you call the masterpiece, Rise of the Machines. This one we got Charlie Angel's director on board.
McG.
It's like, get over your fucking self, McG. What's your fucking name? What a dork. But I don't mind him. I mean, he did the Babysitter films, which are pretty fun, just recently. So if you like horror films, check those out. They're pretty fun. Does a lot of producing. So, you know, the cool thing about this film and researching it, it is, since 2010, the most expensive, independently produced film. No studio involvement. And I really like that. The only thing that bothers me about that when I reflect on it, the studio must have eventually got involved because I know it's released by Warner Brothers, but they didn't produce the film. There's a difference between presenting a film and producing.
Yeah,
but
it's like Netflix films. They're actually made by, and a lot of them are made by independent production companies, but it's Netflix then buy them to basically broadcast them essentially.
And yeah, exactly. And then they go to bidding wars.
Yeah,
what big studio wants to buy them.
Mm-hmm.
But there must have been some studio involvement here because this movie's so kind of rough. And what I mean by rough is, that's actually not a bad thing, but there's something missing here. There's been editing going on, and I mean the violence. And I think granted, it wasn't produced by a studio, but there's something a little birdie that tells me, I couldn't find any information, that this movie was supposed to be a good R-rated, in-your-face, raw, road warrior, you know, steampunk kind of film, and the violence seems very cut down or withdrawn. And maybe that's because if it's independently produced, you're not going to give a shit what a studio thinks.
Exactly. Unless
a studio got involved and says, we'll take it from you, but I want this and this and this gone.
Yeah, there does seem to be some sort of editing going on, or you know, I think it's affected the lack of tension or the general flow of it. I think this would have worked much better as a standalone science fiction film as opposed to part of the Terminator franchise.
I mean, for what we just got with Rise of the Machines, I think with this retrospective, I think it's a better film in a whole if you put it before the Terminator.
Like a prequel?
Like a prequel, like we talked, like Rogue One was a pretty good example. And I think they did that pretty well. So you can kind of watch them back to back. But let's just dive into it and let's chat about Terminator Salvation and, sadly, Stan Winston's last film.
Yes, it's dedicated to him.
Yeah, exactly. And rightfully so. Talented man. Fucking so talented.
Oh, yeah, he did all sorts over the years.
Arnie has a cameo, but the cameo is just a cameo, and it's just a likeness of him, just because he could not take the part, because you cannot take a part or earn any money while you're a governor.
Governor of California.
That's right. The Governator.
Yeah. I remember at the time, whenever he was, standing for election for it, and I can't remember, him and his rival, who was also running for it, were being interviewed, and they were asked a very serious question by the journalist, so what are your policies on such and such, all this here sort of thing, and I think his rival, gave a pretty decent, sort of clear answer, and the audience didn't really say much, who were in attendance. And then he turned to Arnie and said, what's basically your thoughts on all of this and your rival? And Arnie just quipped, I'm going to terminate him. And the audience went wild.
Yeah, Arnie's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to bankrupt California, but he's Arnie.
Yeah, well, this is it. He's going to terminate their funds.
Of all of the Terminator films, all of them, this by far has one hell of a fucking cast. I mean, now that's not to take away the Terminator original, because there were no names or up-and-coming actors at the time, so I can't really say that. But for all the Terminator movies we're going to talk about, Kristen Bale, Sam Worthington, Helen Bonham Carter, God rest his soul, taken way too early, Antonia Yeltsin,
Yes.
Common, who I like to see, Bryce Taylor, Dallas Howard, Jane Alexander, and obviously always like to see Michael Ironside.
Yeah.
Again, Michael Ironside, Jane Alexander, two veteran actors, very good in their craft, pointless in these roles. They tried to make General Ashtown, played by Michael Ironside, badass, but he needed a bigger part here. Something went wrong with the editing room here.
Or maybe it was a script. Maybe the script was just a bit weak.
Yeah, maybe. Could be.
Yeah.
We don't get my Brad Friedel back, but we do get the dun. Credits are pretty solid. I really do enjoy them. And Danny Elfman's back to do them. Not back, but is there to do them. And let's just jump into it. Okay? Because, you got my dun. I'm good to go. And, of course, those will be quickly taken away from me in the next piece of shit we're about to talk about. Fuckers.
Well, if you don't get this right, Ciaran, I'm going to go on a rant like Christian Bale went on a rant with the cast member, or the crew member.
Yeah, that was a time where I think we'll get this out of the way now, I suppose. Now, I know the scene he was talking about when it happened, and I can understand an actor getting frustrated, especially if it's just going to point A to point B, here to Batman, and you're fucking just balls to the wall, just get it right. And you finally do, and something fucks up. Now, he handled it wrong. He did apologize, and having the DP or good buds, but I don't think he ever mentioned it, but it's the same thing with Russell Crowe. They were going through a time where he just did The Machinist, where he was like 85 pounds or something weird fucking like that. Then he had to bulk up, so he was doing steroids. All actors take them. They're not cheating or anything. That's just the way it goes. And this is the cause of it. The roid rage, they call it. Russell Crowe went through it, I think, when he was doing Gladiator, then gaining it for Beautiful Mind, then doing this. So I think Bale says he'll never do these kind of films again. Well, he'll work out for him, but he won't get to this point.
I know he said that he wouldn't work with McGee again after this, and he was wary of even becoming involved in it in the first place due to McGee's basically previous films like Charlie's Angels and stuff. Because, you have to remember as well, Bale is a very intense, serious actor, and so, big, I know he's done a few since, and obviously he did the Batmans and stuff, but yeah, he's not one for just general sort of blockbusters, Again, he's, people are allowed to be human as well, just because they're, very well paid Hollywood stars, you have to be forgiven at times, and certainly, it was just, to me, it was just a bit entertaining, to be honest, but, certainly, we all have our moments, let's just say.
Well, of all the cast, and they're solid cast, nothing against any of them, but I'll say this, Christian Bale and Sam Worthington, the two leads, Marcus and John Connor, are by far giving it their all.
Oh, totally.
Especially Christian Bale.
Oh, 100%. But he always does. He's an intense method actor. What I do love about that rant is that he doesn't break his American accent. Bale's Welsh. He stays in character.
Yeah, see, he's in it. He's in
a pro.
And he stays as John Connor as Batman too, because he got that Batman. Hey, what's going on?
Yeah, and that's not his real accent. So even whenever, like, sort of off the record, I'm going on a rant against a crew member, he still can't. What a pro!
All right, so we open up in 2003, and we got Marcus, who were introduced, played by Sam Worthington. He was a big up and coming. He hasn't really found his niche, unfortunately. He's done some good stuff. Besides, we all know him from Avatar.
Yeah. Apparently, it was Cameron recommended him for the role in this Terminator film.
Yeah, good on him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's done some good stuff. A lot of his stuff is B stuff now.
Yeah.
But he always goes back to the well, which is clearly Avatar.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, we talked about dark tones. And the one thing this film definitely gets right is it's a dark tone film. It is a film about taking humans and testing them. It almost have, and I'm not comparing apples to oranges, people, don't be all offended, but it almost has a Holocaust kind of feel to it.
Well, it's Holocaust, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
apocalyptic. Yeah.
Yes. And where machines have taken over and they're capturing all these humans and they're testing they want this new product to come out, which we'll find out would eventually be the T-800. But this opening sequence, when it starts with just a simple donation, where Marcus is going to be executed, we don't know what he's done, but Marcus, the way Sam Worthington sells it is brilliant because he's never happy here. Yeah. Even when he comes out of the explosion where he doesn't know where he is or who he is, he's a tortured soul for sure. We don't know.
It's heavily suggested. Well, obviously he's on death row, so he killed someone or several people, but it's also heavily suggested that he's a rapist as well.
Yeah, that scene with Helena Bonham Carter is really good in this scene as he plays the doctor who needs his organs to survive, and he's on death row. And he goes, well, give me a kiss. And he gives her a kiss, and he goes, so that's what death tastes like. And it was just, fuck, man.
Yeah, it's a dark line, like, yeah.
But he still signs the release paper. And then we cut to 2018. And that whole opening sequence is kind of, we don't get that much of his darkness for the rest of the film, but we get where Marcus is coming from for the rest of the film.
Yes, and he's trying to redeem himself.
But he doesn't know why.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's humanity buried deep within him.
Even this opening sequence is 3,000 fucking times better than anything we got in that last piece of shit.
Christina Loken. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Nice car. But
yeah.
Fuck.
I like your gun.
Opening scene, I went in 2018. I just love they're going down the hole. There's just John Connor. He's going down this hole, and they find this pretty much prison camp embedded in the ground for these people who are being, examined and experimented on. And pretty much within a matter of seconds, everyone dies in a mini. It's not a nuclear explosion. Is it implosion?
Oh, I don't know. It's some sort of
It's a mini nuclear explosion. I can't remember what it's called. Yeah,
something like that. Skynet. Although I don't think I would say. Well, maybe it is nuclear, but but it must be like a mini nuclear because you don't. There's another nuclear.
There's another term for it. It's not nuclear, but it's something like it.
Atomic. But anyways, I don't know.
And John Connor happens to just get out of the hole, and he gets to the helicopter. This is before everything, the shit goes down. And the scene when he's in the helicopter, and it's just so in your face, and the cameraman's sitting with him. Obviously he is, because he needs to see him. But we're kind of the cameraman, technically. So it puts you in the helicopter. So when he starts spinning out, the audience is with him on that. And that's why I think with the theater experience, this movie needed more people in the seats, because I think to experience something like this is a lot nicer in the theater when the surround sound and everything like that, when the helicopter crashes, and then you got the fight with the T-800, and it's a great fight scene because the T-800 is pretty much already cut in half, but it shows how much he's willing to kill him. He's still coming.
Are.
Which one?
They're T-600s.
Oh, they're before the Arnie ones. Okay.
Yeah, they're like a sort of because they're not quite as advanced, but they're actually creepier. So they are, and the fact that they don't move as well, but then their faces and stuff, they're actually much more effective to watch as a viewer. Because they're very creepy looking. You know what I really like about this film? The fact that so much of which we've never seen before in Terminator films, of this future wasteland scenes are set during the day and daylight.
Yeah, probably for a couple reasons. Mm-hmm. Easier to shoot, and it's not really a cheat though either, because I think that daylight scenes, especially a film like this, you can really more of an appreciation for what they've done, what kind of universe they've created.
Yeah.
So I think it's decent that they did that. We don't get to the night shots really until the finale.
Yeah. It does sort of go against what Kyle Reese says in the original about how they can only come out at night, to fight the robots, the Terminators. But, this is like 11 years before 2029. So you can still sort of get away with it.
So after the explosion, Marcus comes crawling out.
Yes.
How he fucking survived. But he's crawling out of the test facility. So we know, I know it's supposed to be a twist, but I knew right away that the paperwork he signed was to make him a T-800.
Of course, yeah. It was pretty obvious, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that was supposed to be, surprise, but I was like, no.
It's still an effective scene where John Connor finds out, and John Connor, has him, basically chained up.
Yeah, that scene we'll get to, but yeah, it reminded me of RoboCop when they show RoboCop what he actually looks like without all the shelling and shit, and he goes nuts. He's scared shitless, and Sam Worthington really sells it when he finds out what he is, because he doesn't know he's a monster. He doesn't know he's Frankenstein's monster yet.
Yeah,
like that Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah,
it's pretty good. I'm referencing fucking Mary Shelley over here. You're welcome, y'all.
Yeah. Classic literary references and all sorts. This is a very highbrow podcast, of course.
Fucking right. People are like, God, Ciaran reads now? Well, actually, I just saw a couple of different movies.
And not just dirty magazines anymore.
Well, I think it was the short story version in Penthouse.
With pictures.
So now what I meant in the beginning when I was talking about this does play well as a prequel to the original is because they mentioned this machine, this device, the sonic sound, this dog whistle, as you can say, that can shut down the machines.
Mm-hmm.
And this kind of plants the seed for them why they were able to send a T-800 in Terminator 2 to protect John Connor, because now they know how to kind of control these machines with this new device. So they do plant that seed, which I thought was kind of fun and clever.
Mm-hmm.
So we are introduced to all these different characters. It took me a while to grow on our boy Kyle Reese. I like Anton Yelchin a lot, and God, it sucks how he passed, and it's a horrible death, and it sucks.
Terrible. Freak accident.
I know him from The Green Room, which is a wonderful one of his last films he did, which is really good. And of course, he was great as Chekhov in the Star Trek reboots. So sadly missed. He had a big career ahead of him. But I tell you, really, the problem is people look at him and they go, I don't see Michael Biehn. Well, you don't. But if you close your eyes and then you listen to him, he really does nail the accent. He does sound a lot like Kyle Reese.
Unlike Jay Courtney, which we'll get to in the next podcast, he expresses the vulnerability of Kyle Reese very well. And you know what? When I first watched this in the cinema, I didn't like him as Kyle Reese, a young Kyle Reese. But watching this again for the podcast, I could bat a lot more. And I think he does a very good job, actually.
He does. It takes a while for me to. There's a little inconsistency with his character in this, because the problem I had was when he first meets him. Yeah, he's got some cool traps when they kind of trap that one of the robots, the T-600 as you call them, and they take him down. Thought that was kind of fun, but he seemed kind of like a clueless idiot at the same time.
What, he's a teenager?
I know, so we got to keep in mind there's smarts there for the way he traps these robots, but at the same time he's naive and childish.
And it's also, he's only 17 in this. So, and don't forget as well, the Kyle Reese that we met in the original had been mentored for quite a lot of years by John Connor. So this is when he literally is young and stupid, a young and stupid teen. But he still has, it's definitely works for me now, but it didn't at the time, I must admit.
The only thing that doesn't work for this film, and it's a big one, and that's the mute girl. Or kid, whatever it is.
Yeah, she's just stupid and annoying.
Yeah, there's no point. Just for they're only trying to build tension to the audience because, there's a child in the mix now.
Well, it's also too, like, Spielberg does with the Jurassic Park films. It's like throw a kid in so that the kids in the audience can identify with them. But you know what? It's a Terminator film. I don't want no fucking stupid kid in there. Or, if you have one, fucking bump them off by T600 or something, because you know what? I don't give a shit. I don't want annoying kids in Terminator films.
The good thing is the kid doesn't last. Gets kidnapped, so... Little fucker. At least they made the child mute. That was important. Can't stand children. Especially can't stand children who can speak.
Yeah. Well, there you go. At least they give us a bit to run with by making her not talk.
they met us halfway. We'll cut. The citizen frame guys hate kids. Yeah, but we need kids. It's a sense of peril. I got it. Make the little fucker mute.
Well, it's like it's almost like, I know you say this wasn't big studio, but it's almost like it's a studio note saying we need a kid in there for the kids watching this to identify with. But they've said, well, yeah, but kids are pretty annoying, so let's make the little fucker mute. It's like having their cake and eating it. Yeah,
exactly. Now this whole scene when we meet Jane Alexander and that small group in the gas station.
Yes,
this was fun. This is where this kind of felt like a Transformers film a little bit.
I was going to say that.
And because you got the bike robots now, we're going to meet
motorbike Terminators,
which I think are pretty badass, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And then you got this big machine that's pretty much just a prison,
with a claw prison,
and this whole action sequence just doesn't let down, and it's fast paced and it's quick cut, but it reminded me a lot of the Road Warrior. This whole sequence, just about the escape, and you obviously dealing with a semi truck, and you got the bikes coming to try to raid you and stuff like that.
Yeah,
this is where I again, you're not going to see much violence because they're robots, so we'll probably get some oil spillage as blood. And so I think that's why when I say the violence is maybe it's not their fault, because, well, they're robots. We can see their heads get blown out, but we're not going to see blood anywhere.
No, exactly. They don't have blood.
Yeah, so maybe that's why there is violence, but when it's there, it's more geared toward the enemy than it is the civilians. And if we did get violence for the civilians, it'd be torture in the experiment room, and I really don't care about seeing that. That's fine with me.
Yeah, I think.
But you probably did, you sick fuck.
I think while this is pretty well realized, I think with the original, it's just the sheer intensity of the threat of the Terminator that blows anything that came after away. And the intensity of the chases and stuff. And the proper threat that you feel, you just don't quite feel it.
Well, you're not with
watching this.
You're not.
Yeah.
And you can't. And that's because we know who these things are now.
Yeah.
These guys are prepared, semi-prepared pretty much, or are prepared actually to fight them. And we've been seeing them for the last couple films. And they're not set in before all the shit went down. Mm-hmm. He's not going into a civilian neighborhood, going to a poor woman's house named Sarah Connor and blowing her away with a gun.
Sarah Connor.
So it's pretty much two military or both trained people.
It's a war film. This is not unlike a war film. I mean, it is literally a war film, albeit with a science fiction twist.
Yeah. I guess my point is that these are renegades looking to take back what was once theirs against robots, where the first one was just a serial killer, tactically.
Yep.
Just going in and doing anything he can to kill. And you're not going to get that with this. That planted the seed. This is the universe.
Yeah. Well, I would actually agree with that. Yeah, because basically we're dealing with soldiers here fighting in a war, whereas the original is basically a completely innocent young woman and very vulnerable and naive young woman.
Speaking of the woman, we are introduced to Blair.
Yes.
The pilot that gets shot down that runs into Marcus.
Pointless character.
Yeah. Again, you need a female lead. I understand that. And I would have got somebody else. Nothing against her. I wanted somebody who's war ravaged, like a Sigourney
Weaver. She looks like she's just stepped off a catwalk as opposed to a fucking apocalyptic war.
I would have easily put Jamie Lee in this role.
Right? Well,
Jamie Lee Curtis, Janet Lee, Jennifer, Janet Lee, she's dead. Jennifer Jason Lee would have been good in this role. But they went with, I don't know. This actress hasn't done much since, and nothing against her or anything, but of all the cast we're surrounded by, this one feels the one that was shoehorned in.
Yeah. She's too good looking and too, like, sort of, she looks really healthy and well. She doesn't look like an apocalyptic nuclear war survivor,
It's like the scene, and they just literally met 10 minutes ago. She's bathing or something. She's taking her shirt off, and she's holding her breasts. And Marcus is like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" He doesn't know what's going on. He's trying to figure out who he is as a human being, and she's trying to get yum time.
Yeah, well, I think that's also a scene where it's suggested that he was once in his previous life a rapist, because you see the look he gives her, but then he steps away from it, on top of the scene with Helena Bonham Carter with the kiss as well, in the opening scene.
Oh, yeah. But then you get the side of him who these scavengers, these rapists pretty much show up. Yes. And he just takes them all down, which is actually a nice little fight scene.
Yes.
And shows that there's a good side there.
Yes, exactly. He's conflicted.
So there's a lot going on. The first half, you kind of have me. There's there's not really a lull. If there's a lull, it's pretty quick. There's not a lot of sappy moments like when John Connor is kissing Bryce Dallas Howard, his wife, I guess you could say. She's pregnant.
She's another pointless character.
No,
she's nothing to do here, apart from being pregnant.
No, because she kind of
gives the odd order. But sure, anyone could have done that.
Well, she kind of does she's kind of like second in charge almost. Next to Common, I think would be up there.
The thing is,
he should have a bigger part. Common should have a bigger part. I like him.
Yeah.
He's a good actor.
What the issue, I think, was with Bryce Dallas Howard, this was originally set up as the first in a trilogy, which never happened. And I think she was going to be given much more to do in terms of acting and sort of, a role in the later films. I think, I could be wrong. Obviously I wasn't there when they were sort of making it, but so I think they were just setting up her character really in this one. But because it ended up being just a one-off, it does look as though like she's basically hasn't much to do, but she doesn't.
I think the problem is the focus is so on Marcus and on John and on Kyle that the other ones are going to seem shoehorned in.
Yeah, they're just basically supporting characters.
Yeah, and that's not a bad thing either. Yeah, anybody could have done the part, but it's nice to get up-and-comers, and she was an up-and-comer at the time.
Yes.
So I see why they did it. She wasn't bad or anything.
No, she can act and she can, she does her job, but it's just the character. They never follow through with the pregnancy subplot. I'm assuming that was going to come in a next film, which didn't happen. But it's just she's pregnant. Like so what? It's never followed up. It's never sort of elaborated on. But yeah, obviously they didn't get a sequel to this, so to speak, a direct sequel, as opposed to what we did get. So I can sort of understand it as well.
It wasn't a bomb.
No, I know what.
None of the Terminators really tank.
Yeah. A lot of them were critically panned.
That's where we'll get to the genesis. This one shouldn't have been critically panned. This one's pretty fun. I think it's the best sequel. I haven't seen Dark Fate yet. No, wait till we get to Dark Fate. I'm still sticking up for that one until I see it again. Well,
I haven't seen it yet. So based on the sequels that I have seen, I think Salvation is the best sequel, and I include 2 in that. I think it's better.
No, Judgment Day. Judgment Day is
Serious?
still the best. And by the way, this wouldn't be a sequel.
Yeah, well, it's technically a prequel.
Yeah,
sequel. Yeah.
You know nothing of the movie business. I do like how he finds out he's a robot. It's because we all kind of know when watching the film that he's a robot, right? And she goes, "Oh, it's okay. I know where everything is in the minefield. It only attracts something that's magnetic." I'm like, "Oh,
yeah, like his fucking insides."
So, yeah.
Again, Bale does the intense and shirty, brilliant in real life and on the screen. And this scene, I think the best scene in the entire film is actually where Marcus discovers he's RoboCop, basically, and Bale is disgusted with him. You know what I mean? That he's a fucking machine. He's here to kill me. You know, this sort of thing. And he's, got him chained up, basically, like crucified almost. Really good scene, especially with Bale, being intense Bale.
Yeah, I mean, if they find out he's human, heart, brain, it's obviously skin and stuff like that. But the rest of them is pretty much.
Oh, by the way, Linda Hamilton is in this film.
Yeah, she's just the voice, though, the recording.
Yeah.
At least she came back to do it. Good on her.
Oh, yeah.
Only a couple lines, but at least they didn't get some bad voice actress or the actress we're going to get.
Oh, don't we'll get to that.
Me. Terrible actress.
Oh, brutal.
This one, we're all being serious, guys. Just wait for we talk Terminator Genesis. We're going to tear that fucker to shreds.
I ain't going to town with it,
That movie had such potential. Okay, let's jump into this. We're still talking about this
podcast. But yeah. But yes, no. I mean, it adds a good connection to the original. Actually, the original 2, with having Linda Hamilton come back, even if it is just a voice cameo. But they have the photo and stuff, of her at the gas station as well.
Here's where I'm confused. Oh, wait. This is where I get confused with sequels or time travel sequels.
Yeah.
Wouldn't Connor trust him? Well, he does. He'll learn to trust him, obviously. But wouldn't he learn because of what happened in Judgment Day?
Possibly. Yeah, I mean, there is a suggestion there that
But technically, Judgment Day hasn't happened because they haven't learned how to control the T-800 till they learned that little machine they have, the little sonic thing.
But it's happened for John because he was a kid, and it's basically his mentor was...
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so,
I mean... Yeah, I think maybe, there is a suggestion there that in Connor's mind, there's but not all Terminators are bad Terminators, and then he's maybe thinking, hasta la vista, baby, I now know why you cry. So, yeah, maybe that was going on in Intense Bale's head,
So, let me ask you this. This host, I know Marcus needed to escape. I understand that.
Yes.
But Blair helps him. Yes. Why is all of a sudden she's this fucking
plot
device? I don't get her arc. I don't get what
she's just a plot device. She is simply a plot device for Marcus to escape and go to the Cyberdyne building thing, Skynet's HQ. She is simply, all her character is there to do is get Marcus to John Connor and then get Marcus to escape. She is a simple plot device. That's all her character is. But and see all that. What about all this bullshit where she's like falling in love with him and stuff? Completely. It just felt out of
forced.
Place. Yeah, forced totally.
So she tries to help him escape.
Yes, because she's fallen in love with him after like 2 minutes. Although to be fair, it is
no offense. That happens to be all the time.
Although to be fair, I think in a way it's because it is explained in that with the scene where he saves her from the rapist scavenger types.
Yeah, but she was still getting naked in front of him before that, and she was like, look what I have. I mean, she was pretty much, showing her knockers off.
Yeah.
So
or did he?
So this whole fight scene at the end here, let me get back to what I was saying. So Marcus, as they're being ambushed by the good guys.
Yes.
And they're going to blow everyone up, blow him up and her. He jumps on top of her to protect her from the explosion. That's why Connor decides, okay, maybe we should let this guy see what's going on with this guy.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Is that what happened? I can't remember.
Well, there's that as well. But he also, whenever they're at the pond lake thing, whenever like the fucking squid robot Terminators are like attacking them and stuff, there's also where he says he can get him in. He can get him. He'll basically get him into Skynet HQ.
Because he's one of them. Yeah. So his ID is his body.
Yes, exactly. They'll not attack him because he's Terminator. So he is. And so he basically says, John Connor has been told by Michael Ironside that he's not allowed to go there and save the people because Michael Ironside's a badass and he's being Michael Ironside and he's sneering. He's saying, fuck him, we're just going to...
He's not wrong. But
it's a tactical...
He's got a point.
It's a tactical, it's a tactical thing. But Connor, his humanity, he wants to go and save. But also especially Kyle Reese, because he knows that he's going to be his father and he's going to have to send him back in time. So Connor wants to save the people, but especially Kyle Reese. And basically Marcus says, I'll get you in. I'll help you out. We'll save the people.
That's when he grabs the mic and he goes, Batman.
Yeah.
On the general. He's like, I'm moving for the people.
Good for you. Good for you.
Okay, that's the worst Batman ever.
No, I'm doing Christian Bale shouting at the crew member.
Oh, that's even worse.
Hey, well,
Jesus, that sounds like.
I mean, I'm not a method actor like Bale, so give me a break.
So there's a.
I think want to rant with you like Bale did.
Fuck off.
Good for you, Ciaran. Good for you.
Oh my God! You know what that sounds like? It sounds like Stallone underwater or something. That's terrible. That's terrible.
Well, I haven't rehearsed this, and I'm not a method actor like Bale.
All right, so I think the best shot in the whole film is just a look. That's right. People are like, God, what did Ciaran be talking about?
Yeah.
But it's when Marcus, all he does is walk up to Skynet. All these droids are looking at him, and they put the guns and they scan him, and he says he can come in.
Yes.
The minute he gets greenlit, he's allowed to go in. His eyes drop a second.
Yeah.
Because he knows
he realized
that he's
not human.
He's not human.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he's one of them.
Yeah.
It's the best arc of the film is that one little shot where he finally knows who he really is. He's a Terminator.
And not only that, there he goes on the full redemption arc as well by the end, with his last sort of, basically one of his last remembrance of humanity, his heart, literally, you know? Yeah.
And when we get to that moment, we'll discuss it. Thanks.
Yeah, spoilers.
Jesus God. You're just like you're just like fucking the Terminator movie. You just fucking fly all over. You'll go from past to present. You got your own fucking timeline, don't you?
Exactly.
I have these notes outlined, ready to go. What we're there, and you just got to fucking
look. Hold on a minute. I was backing up what you were saying about Marcus's look.
Yes,
but you didn't have to bring later on.
You could have
said.
So
I was backing you up, and this is the thanks you get.
And then,
brilliant,
and then,
lovely,
and then when
lovely.
we do talk about the sacrifice, you could have went, Ciaran, that's right, and that backs up what you said earlier.
Yeah, definitely.
When that makes sense, that's.
Exactly so now you're going on a Christian Bale rant, right? Okay.
Listen here, Trevor. I'll fucking dare you. I'm gonna take my steroids next time.
Yeah.
Yeah, the general's dead.
Yeah, he gets the shit blown out of him. Sweet.
I love his commander goes, yeah, we're fucked. He goes, what's going on? He's like, yeah, we're fucked.
And there's submarines blown to smithereens. So it is.
I do like the scene where they get Marcus and you got Helen Bonham Carter back. And God love her, she went through a tragedy while making this film.
4 members of her family died in a crash. Yeah.
Sad, really sad.
Yeah.
So she probably had more. I would like to see more of her, but clearly we weren't going to get that because of the tragedy. But I do like they used her. See, I was thrown off. I almost thought there was a twist coming up to where she never had cancer. She was just using him to get his body so they can experiment. I thought she was going to be like a bad guy.
Yeah.
But
maybe
that's
that
kind
was the case.
Well, that could have been. But she could have come back and they decided to do it this way. But I kind of like this way better because it plays on that the first couple of minutes here. You're like, oh my God, she used him the whole time.
Yeah.
Then you find out it's just an AI program playing on all the people he knows.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it
then becomes like John Connor and stuff. And yeah. It's basically Skynet fucking about, which is actually sort of like a personification of Skynet, which is followed up in the next film with Matt Smith. But we'll get to that.
And we also find out it's a nice little I could be wrong, but I was always wondering, I mentioned in the beginning of the podcast, why Marcus survived that huge explosion at the little prison there in the beginning.
Yeah.
And you find out he was supposed to survive that because he's the bait. He was always the bait.
To get John Connor.
They always wanted them to come there.
And he was going to come for Kyle Reese. So Kyle Reese was technically the bait as well. Yeah.
And then you got Arnie.
You know what? I mean, obviously CGI wasn't as advanced.
I think it's pretty good.
It is effective and it does work, but there is the uncanny valley of the CGI Arnie's face. And I can understand that they've realised this, so it's not long before he gets like blown up or something, and he goes back to being the T-800 exoskeleton. But it's a fun cameo, you know.
I liked it. I thought the effect was good. You're right. They quickly removed the face, but I thought it worked for what I was looking at.
Well,
and at the end of the day, people don't care. They just want to see Arnie.
Yeah, they shoot it cleverly, to be fair, in that it's like from the side or from the distance or whatever, and then quickly he like gets skin melted off. So it's a cameo, but they're not stupid as well. They don't overdo it.
I like the fact we see how John Connor got his scar.
Yes, I really like that as well. Good continuity.
Exactly. The one thing that just does get right, the continuity's pretty fair.
Yeah, it is. No, this is a proper Terminator film. This is more of a Terminator film than 3, and just most definitely 5. You know,
I do like a little playback to the melted metal.
Yes,
from Judgment Day.
Yep,
pours all on top of the tea. I love melted metal on that thing. You know, that's such a good death.
Yeah. No, I mean it's you know, I think this film's underrated, and I think it gets a bum rap.
Well, yeah, we're almost there. Quantum leap. We're almost there. Okay. Fucking hell, I can't do this anymore. I try to give and I give. So, Jesus.
Who was that? You were doing an impression of?
That was perfect. That was Batman.
Batman, right?
But I do like the fact, like you give it away to everybody already, but when John Connor gets that fucking thing through his chest, and you didn't see that coming because you know he's going to survive. Mm-hmm. But then once it does happen, you kind of realize where this is going. Marcus' full arc is going to be killing himself to survive, to let John survive.
I mean, I'm no medical doctor. No, I'm no Quincy Emmy,
Quincy,
or Dr. Kildare. But as far as I'm aware, this is, there's a bit of cheating going on with the heart transplant, which I don't think can be done just like in some sort of desert in the open air as quickly as that. But I mean, what do I know?
Excuse me. Yeah. It's Ron Howard's daughter.
Oh, well, okay then. Yeah. Fair enough then. But anyway, for dramatic purposes, yes, there is a bit of cheating going on in terms of the medical stuff. I think I'm not a doctor.
They could have I think they should have made the wound less, maybe a little closer to the heart. I mean, he got it pretty much impaled. He'd be dead.
Yeah.
So
he had died instantly.
He would have been paralyzed, at least. That thing. But we'll go with it. But it should have been more of a different kind of wound, something where his heart's failing, or I don't give a fuck. Maybe he's got blockage from eating too many fucking Bounty Bars or Twinkies. I don't know.
Or taking too much steroids. Yeah.
I do love when he's dying and he gives Kyle Reese his colors, his jacket.
Yeah. And
then he lives. I'll be like, hey, fucker, give me my coat back.
Yeah, exactly. Give me that back, you little shit.
Even though you have to earn it. You that little mute bastard.
Yeah. Even though you will become a dad, but you know what I mean? Yeah.
So when Marcus is dying and is going to die, Muty, the little mute person, holds his robotic hand. I was like, oh Jesus, come on.
It's pure corny cheese. So it is, but also Blair.
But I do love the final shot. I think it's gorgeous. It reminded me of something from Apocalypse Now. Yeah. And all the helicopters are flying into the sunset. Mm-hmm. That's a gorgeous shot. And then at the end, it just says, for Stan Winston.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Like I say, I think this is probably, I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is the best Terminator sequel.
It's good. I'm giving it a pass 100%. I think it plays as a good prequel. I'd still say I'd keep this in the group. I'm still holding I still think Terminator Salvation, Terminator 84, Terminator Judgment Day, and Dark Fate all play a good story. I got to watch Dark Fate again. I might change my mind, but it's this film. Those three films are far superior than that last piece of shit that you call the masterpiece. And and then our cards are on the table. Genesis, Jesus. Genesis is the one film that I have seen 3 times now.
Yeah.
that I have a smile on my face. Oh, yes. And then they take it away from you. They have this moment where you had something. Why'd you take that back?
Look, you know, it's coming up on the next podcast. But
yeah, we'll dive into it.
I have major issues with it.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap this one up. We are getting there. 2 more to go. And then we're going to be diving in. We decided we're going to do some Westerns.
Yep.
Cowboy time. So we're trying to pick our list.
Cowboy.
Yeah, your favorite, Scrim Cowboy.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, give us a shout at Citizen Frame _ podcast on Instagram or Facebook if you have any cowboy movies. Or, you know, we're thinking, see, the problem is
when
you
cowboy, we'll do it.
Jeez, you just jumped right, you just cut me off right there just so you can get that in there, didn't you, sick bastard? So,
stick me Frankenstein, dirty mags.
Wow. So, this way too early in the morning for this shit. But yeah, so give us, see, when you do these like Western month or something, we want to pick Western, but we don't want to do all A-list Westerns, right? Because, you know, we want to pick
Squirtum Cowboy.
Yeah, shut up. So we know Tombstone's going on there because it's a fucking classic. Yeah. And we probably know Pale Rider is probably going on there because it's my favorite Clint. Well, we got 2 more we got to pick. And so if you have any ideas, give us a shout. Something people never heard. Maybe even Blazing Saddles. Just fun.
What about Young Guns 2? I know we did Young Guns, the first one, a couple of years ago.
Bad. Oh, maybe I can rip on that one. That might be pretty good.
I mean, because I'm a fan of it, so we could. Yeah. That might make for an interesting podcast.
Yeah, make me hate you more. That's great. Let's do that one. All right, guys, we're going to wrap this one up. Oh, Jesus Christ. I need more coffee. All right, guys. Talk soon.